All right, family. All right, family. It's the time you've been waiting for. Senior Talk with Clara Hubbard, your resource and information show for people getting better with age. Well, today we are introducing a new segment to our programming. It is called Men Are Caregivers Too. And joining us today is Dr. Michael Washington. He is a pharmacist, let me tell you. Whew, he is boots on the ground. Listen to me. Everybody telling where them fans at, where them caregivers at. Let's get them some love.
Yeah.
We got time for all that. Let me tell you, this is also being broadcast live through National Caregivers Month. And it was just on my heart to really have you all be introduced to this gentleman, his tremendous story, and how he is stepping up. We know that we use the face or we use the term caregiver and we always think of women. And that's why God gave me this title that men are caregivers too. So this brother is going to break it down. He's going to talk about what he does daily. We're going to get some questions, how do you know to recognize the symptoms and all that stuff? It's coming up. But what we want to do now is first we want to give a big shout out and a thank you to our commercial sponsor, was our good friend, the only one, the beautiful Phyllis Rogers, president of Peer Plus Education, Wellness, and Training Advocates. They'll be right back with our special guest. Everyone, tell your friends, Senior Talk is live, and we'll be here to serve you. Everyone will be right back after this quick commercial break. All right, that was a nice quick commercial break. Our friend, of course, is the one and only Phyllis Rogers. As I mentioned, she's president of Peer Plus Education and Training Advocates. Before we dive into your introduction, Dr. Washington, tell us what your participation is, what your partnership is with Peer Plus, because that's how we were introduced.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, first of all, Ms. Hubbard, for having me on the show today. Ms. Rogers is just such a soul person, like they say, salt to the earth. And I met her through some other people, and ever since I met her, she's been like a mom to me, a colleague to me. I've been done events with her, and every time it's just positive energy. She just exudes that, and she's been in the game for so long. And it's just my pleasure to be associated with her, and as well as just to be on the show today with you.
Oh, you're too kind. So
No.
let's do this. We were together at one of her events last year.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember the title of that event? Because we were at the Green
We
Lake
went on, yeah,
on Cottage Grove.
Yeah, we were on Cottage Grove. It was a chat and chew.
Mm-hmm.
That's really where we met, at the chat and chew. And it was an event for, she had her family and some other people out just talking about caregiving. And a lot of times we don't realize that the topic was men are caregivers too. We always think of women and who are mostly caregivers, but men are being stepped into that role. Myself being the only child,
Mm-hmm.
I have brothers and sisters. So as my mom and my mother-in-law, who I affectionately call, I just love just being able to help them. And
Absolutely. So
like
let's do this. Let's start from the beginning. So as we were in our virtual green room, we were just thinking, how are we going to introduce you? And I said, there's no way to just put it together, but tell us about your career as a pharmacist. Tell us about who you are. Then we'll dive into our questions, but tell us who Dr. Michael Washington, what is your professional career?
Yes. Okay. Well, I did my undergraduate at Chicago State, and then I went on to Xavier University of Louisiana, where I got my doctorate degree of pharmacy. Actually, we were the first class of the PharmD when they transitioned from the Bachelor of Science in order to go into the PharmD program. So we were the initial guinea pigs, and I graduated from Xavier in 1995, and
Mhm.
I'm also the class president. So yeah, I come with some cachet in this thing.
All right.
Uh,
Go
but
ahead.
when I graduated, I realized, I was working for Walgreens as a technician at that time, and I realized that, my need was to be on the South Side with my people. And so instead of moving out, going someplace else, or going up north, getting a condo and doing all that, I realized that my need was to be on the South Side with my people who I needed my care and
Mhm.
compassion. So I had that compassion and empathy at the beginning. So I worked for 30 years on the South Side with Walgreens and Walmart. And so I did that. And then, like I said, then my mother-in-law, I noticed my wife was telling me that my mother-in-law was forgetting her appointments and different things. And I was like, that's kind of strange. I didn't know that much about dementia at that time.
Mhm.
But once she started telling me, naturally, that made me kind of inquisitive to start finding out what's going on with my mother-in-law. So
Right, right.
that's how I started. And then, from there, then my mom fell. And when she fell, she was fine one day doing all the things at 79 years old. That 79, she's living independently by herself, and she fell, hit her head. And
Mm.
then the next day, when I went over there, her place was disheveled, and she was confused, and she had the phone, and she was trying to change the channel on the TV with her cell phone. So I knew
Oh,
something, and I was like, "Ooh, that sounds like dementia." That
sure.
I had a little preview with my mother-in-law. So from that point on, that's how I got into dementia and being an advocate for my mother-in-law as well as my mom.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for being present. And first of all, let me say this: to talk about it and to be as transparent, it can be difficult. So
Yeah,
I just want to
yeah,
thank you in advance for offering your time today to talk on this topic, and also to highlight men. I'm encouraging it because we need to talk. We need to have the conversations. So let me ask you this: learning of your mother-in-law, and then also your mom, did you seek someone to diagnose them, or a lot of us, let's be clear, doctor, we like to self-diagnose.
yeah.
So what would you say, what was the process to get them officially diagnosed, to have a family plan of action?
Well, this is a key point. Like I said, first of all, a lot of us are thrust into this position
Mm-hmm.
being a caregiver. So once I did that, I realized, I said, okay, for my mother-in-law, she was already going to the doctor, and my wife was seeking to get her, analysis. But I think the most important thing is that when you begin to see these signs and symptoms with Alzheimer's, which is the long term, and then the traumatic thing,
Mm-hmm.
you might want to switch your loved one from their primary care physician to a geriatric specialist, because
Ah.
my mother-in-law is 84, my mom is 81. So not to say there's nothing wrong with your general practitioner, but you
Mm-hmm.
want to get them specialized because there's something special going on with them. So that's what I did. I moved my mom from her primary care physician over to the geriatric specialist. They have those right there on 71st and Yates at the senior care center.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you do that, then you automatically hooked up with the neurologist, who is the person who begins to do the testing to diagnose them. And they're specific in that area. That's their specialty versus just a general practitioner that sees everybody.
Right.
So that's
Well,
the first thing.
the key thing is this: you were a family member
Hmm.
who stepped in. A lot of us don't have that branch. They are blessed to have you and your wife. Be very
Yes.
clear. They're very blessed. And I overstand how critical it is to even have the right information. As we talked about earlier, there are resources, and we're going to dive into them a little later. So now that we are at this point and you have a diagnosis, how do you participate in learning or understanding the different levels of dementia that they
Well,
may
like,
have?
well, I think first of all, a lot of people when they think of dementia, they think of dementia and Alzheimer's as being exactly the same thing, but they're not. Dementia is the umbrella. and Alzheimer's and vascular dementia, all those things fall under that category. And there's some other types of dementia, but we'll just stick to Alzheimer's and vascular dementia. So you need to learn about what type of dementia your loved one has. I think that's the most crucial thing to do, because you can't deal with them if you don't understand what you're looking at first.
Yeah, tell the truth. Tell the truth. So here's a good term, and I'm taking my time because there's a big part of it where you see your loved ones and you happen to notice it, i.e., per your expertise, but there's also a denial factor.
Yeah.
And how, I mean, and we look, it's, and now it seems to be normal. We're gonna say, hey, it wasn't me. No, I just forgot about it, or whatever. But there's a denial factor. How does that take place, and how do you get your loved one to be comfortable? Because as we talked about, um, you're you're not invading on them, you're just helping them through this process. But then also there's a level that you have to understand to have that compassion fatigue. Have compassion through what they're going through, because you broke it down so good. I said we should have recorded earlier, but go ahead, Doc.
Like I said, I think that part, the denial, I call it giving each other grace. That's what me and my mom,
I like it.
We came to agree to give each other grace, because we're both struggling with this new facet of our lives. She's been independent for 79 years on her own, taking care of her bills, doing all her business.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, in one day, that's all gone.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so
sir.
It was a traumatic experience for her, as well as me trying to get her, because a lot of times too, when people have dementia, it's not just the dementia. You're still dealing with that person and their personality that you knew before they had that right. Whatever traumatic experience. So you're dealing with that person too now.
Yeah.
So you got to say, okay, when you're talking to them, you got to say, am I talking to my mom, or am I talking to my mom that's going through what I call the loop of dementia? When their mind just kind of gets stuck and it repeats. You heard people repeating themselves saying the thing because they're still trying to be conversational.
Yeah.
And with the dementia, the part that's mostly affected is the short-term memory. So their ability to create new experiences, those things are gone. But their long-term memory and the things that they've done and remember, they can take you back to when they was in college and tell you all about those things.
Yes.
But that short-term stuff, and they still want to do and maintain their activities of daily living. And that's where that grace comes into play.
Yes,
and
sir.
It's hard to see that person that you love begin to decline. And that
Dr. Mike is going to come back. He's still here with us, y'all. But he was mentioning that it's very hard to see your loved one move into a different position of being someone that you see every day. And then there's certain behaviors that do not represent what they've done in the past. And so I get it. I get it 100% because I had an aunt. And for the first time, there was a movie, I want to say Down in the Delta. I want to be 100% sure. But I remember the lady, Florida Evans, Esther Rowe, played this role of someone who was going through dementia. And literally, our family, I saw what happened. My cousin started labeling things so that she can still be as independent at her home as possible. So when it came to cups and saucers and silverware, the things that she enjoyed as someone who enjoyed a cup of coffee in the morning, it was really, really a big to do. And I didn't know, I didn't recognize it. I was much younger at the time. And I said, wow, this is something that is really, really critical. I saw that we had to even, she liked newspapers, so we had to label newspapers so she could look at the letters and read. And it was interesting because she was a person who was someone who literally was someone who had, what do you call it? She was a school teacher. So we would not presume. But I can tell this, and I'm going to have the doctor mention it when he returns with us, is that You know, sometimes you can be with a loved one, and I will say this: my aunt and uncle were together all the time. Outside of him working and picking her up from work, he was with her all the time. And I looked at him and I just saw how after he passed, I mean, literally within months, her health declined and we didn't recognize it. And certain things she just didn't want to do anymore. That's because he was the familiar face, he was the familiar partner, he was a normal in her life. And so she just almost, I wouldn't say gave up, but she became diagnosed with dementia. And we had to make a family adjustment. My cousin Jerry, God bless him, he walked us and navigated us through this process. So we labeled, as I mentioned, the coffee cups, her things she liked to do in the morning, newspaper. We even went into the bathroom and like where the soap is and towels and toothpaste, everything was labeled, just like in that movie Down in the Delta. And I said, wow, we have to really, really, really put a different energy into making sure that our loved ones are given the best quality of care. And so I was very, very, very excited to make sure that I was doing what I had to do. And I learned through that process. So what we're going to do now is we're going to see if we can bring the doc back to us. And let's do this.
Yep.
I was sharing with him, doctor, that um, years ago, my aunt, she was diagnosed with dementia, but
Mm-hmm.
her stemmed from how, as we were talking about the normal, her and my uncle were together and married for over 50 years.
Okay.
And after he passed away, within a year's time, she was diagnosed with dementia. And I said earlier that I attested to her normal was gone.
Yeah.
They were together everywhere. I mean, where we talking about going to the grocery store, the hair salon, barbershop. She wait on him, he wait on her. I mean, it was just they were together.
That was love. 50
And
years
so
of love.
that's
Yeah.
love. And I just said to myself, and my family, my cousin and I, we just said maybe it was just the withdrawal of him there present
Yeah.
that got her to that space, because at one point she didn't want to do anything anymore because they did everything together. What would you say about that?
Well, you see that a lot of times when one person, one spouse passes away, the other person passes away. I had a friend of mine whose dad died, and their mom died 6 months later.
Mm-hmm.
That's depression. All those things can bring on those dementia. The dementia can come in a lot of different ways. There's a lot of variables to that
Yeah.
that we're not sure of, because the brain is so complex that might have just spent her in a spiral.
Mm-hmm.
The downward spiral. Then she just went downhill from there.
Yeah, because I was saying too, is that our family, this was in the early 90s. So let me
Mm-hmm.
be very clear. I'm going to say it, and Dr. Washington is going to agree with me. Do not self diagnose. We
No.
have several resources that could give you the start for information. First of all, you need to do one thing, and that is call the Senior Talk office. And I'll give you that number later. But
Yeah.
I know personally, in our family navigating this, we never heard of Alzheimer's in our community for many years.
Well, you know what?
We
There's
call it,
7 million people.
go ahead. Yeah.
There's 7 million people with dementia right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the time of 2050, that's going to double.
Mm.
And the cost of taking care of people, the caregivers are providing like 300 something billion dollars right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I said, we don't know no better because we don't do no better. You got to know better.
Yeah.
And I think because not only am I trying to share this information for my loved ones, but we're going to be the next generation that's gonna be affected by Alzheimer's.
Yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
our diet and what we're eating and what we're putting in our body is very important to reduce the risk of us acquiring dementia.
Absolutely.
Because that number, like I said, and by 2050, that number is going to go up.
Yeah. And that's critical. Yeah, that's critical. And you said it right, because I was with a friend earlier today and we were talking, and I mentioned that you were going to be our guest, and she said, wow, what is going on in our community. We are in a position now that dementia is being diagnosed so rapid and so broadly, and it is sometimes from diet and the things that we don't have. Sometimes I eat, maybe it's a food desert, but maybe we have options to help ourselves feel to get through this process.
Well, see, the thing about dementia that I've learned is that it's not just aging. That comes with age. We all know we forget stuff as we get old. That's part of
Mhm.
aging. But the brain needs nutrients that we're not providing it with. And
Boom.
so when you don't provide your brain, just like your muscles need nutrients, right, to be
Hmm.
strong, and that also is a critical part of our brain.
Yeah.
And so if we're not eating right, and I'm gonna tell you one thing that I do notice from all the patients I've talked to, high fructose corn syrup
Hmm.
is very bad for our brain cells. Now,
Wow.
my mom drinks pop, my mother-in-law drinks pop, and it don't matter. I'm not even gonna say no names of pop, but pop is pop. High fructose corn syrup is not good for your brain. Because what's
Wow.
happening is, if you think of an old spark plug, if you go back, you know how the electricity goes from
Hmm.
one side to the other. Those are the same things that's happening in our brain. There are chemical reactions that billions and billions of those going on. We don't even think about it. And when you have certain toxicities like high fructose corn syrup, what's in the atmosphere, what we eating, different things, that is like sludge builds up,
Oh,
just
wow.
like in your car.
Yeah.
We're a lot like a car. Our bodies are a lot like a car, and our brain is like the engine. And so when you have sludge build up, then that information doesn't go across those bridges. You
Mm.
know, like if you see somebody on a motorcycle, they jump from one side to the other.
Yes, sir.
Our thoughts and our processing does the same thing, and
Wow.
it's called your neuron synapse. And so when that gets sludgy, then your short-term memory is affected by that. That's why your short-term memory is affected, but not your long-term, because all those things have already been like on a hard drive. They're stored already.
Yeah.
But your ability to create new experiences and remember how to do things like cooking, cleaning, even hygiene, those things become affected as the cells in your brain get sludge, or in Alzheimer's, that's sludge, but with vascular dementia, that's some head trauma.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can have a seizure, you can have a stroke, you can have a bleed, or you can have a bruise in those cells, and
Yes.
those cells begin to die and they short out.
Wow. That's
You
a great
never
statement.
know what part that's going to affect. It could be language, it could be emotions. There's a part in your brain called the amygdala, which controls your emotions. I know a lot of people with dementia, they become violent and they
Yeah.
howl and scream because that's affecting their amygdala.
Mm.
It's very, very crucial to understand, and what we're eating. We need to try to change our diets. And I work with some people that work on plant-based diets, and that's a gradual thing, but we have to eat better and take better care of ourselves because we're in our wonder years.
Hmm.
That age from 60 to 70 is that target area where
Yeah.
things can happen to you. And like I said, as a caregiver, you have to take care of yourself.
Hmm.
And I'll share
Absolutely.
this with you and your listeners, from all the things that I was dealing with, living with my mom, taking care of her mom before I was able to get her in an assisted living facility. I had a heart attack.
Yes. I remember you shared that with me, and I turned my back and said,
And I just thank God that, my daughter was able to come over and notice that something was going on. And she took me to the emergency room where I have two stents that I have placed in my heart. I have one completely blocked artery and the other one was 86%. So I just thank God and my daughter for she had just became an EMT.
mm.
So she was able to see my carotid artery and she could see that the blood in my fingers wasn't coming back when she pressed down on them. So she took me over to the University of Chicago and they took care of me right away. And thank God I'm still here and I'm talking to you today.
Amen. Amen. And you still advocating. And you
Yes.
came back. You came back strong because when you told me, I said, and I
Well, it's
turned
nothing
my head.
but God.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that, and I say this, spiritually, we're a trifold being. We mind, body, and our soul.
Mm-hmm.
I think my mind and my body was affected that. And so I think that my soul, God was like, I still got something for you to do. And
Yeah,
that's continue to advocate for people with dementia. And that's what I'm looking forward to doing in my next, phase of my life. I
absolutely.
think
And
especially men,
yeah, talk to
we
the brother.
need that because we don't know. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
When I go see my mom and I see men that are coming out and I ask them, about themselves. So I'm gonna try to start a group of a networking group where men, I got some guys' telephone numbers and we trying to reach out to each other because we need help.
Yeah, yeah,
Because being a caregiver is a very, very stressful thing because we're in that sandwich generation where you taking care of your wife, you taking care of your family, you might have kids. So that's a lot. That's a big burden. Like I
yes.
said, I had to leave my job.
Mm-hmm.
I had to make that decision. Am I going to take care of my mom or am I going to take care of these bills? And I chose to take care of these bills. And I just want to just give a big shout out to my wife who's been holding it down and helping me tremendously and understand because her mom is dealing with the same thing. So it's a very
Yes,
complex situation, but God is good.
yes, he is.
God is good
And,
all the
and,
time.
and as we mentioned, we definitely know that. Well, I mentioned earlier, if I have not, I do apologize. I have partnered with the Alzheimer's Association of Illinois. And
Yes.
what we're doing is a clear campaign. We're asking people to go um, and support continued Alzheimer's and dementia funding in our communities. We living in a 606 something or another,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to try to self-diagnose. And
Yes.
it's not the answer, but there are resources. So if you go to seniortalkmedia.com,
Mm-hmm.
that is my website. And I want to share it with you, and I can give you resources where we can start. We work with those who do clinical trials. Clinical
Yeah.
trials are most helpful sometimes,
Yeah.
but it's just a point that you have somewhere to go to start.
Well,
And
I think
go ahead.
good. I think that what's important is that, for a long time, we don't trust our healthcare system. Let me just
Yes,
be
sir.
honest with you.
Yes,
We
sir.
don't trust it. You go back to what the Tuskegee experiment and all that stuff. So we have a long history of not trusting our healthcare provision. And therefore, we do try to self-medicate. We don't go to the doctor, especially men. We don't go to the doctor because we're afraid to find out that something is wrong. But you get your oil changed every 3 months in your car, right?
Yeah.
But you only get a physical once a year. I recommend that you at least get a physical, a CAT scan, and an ultrasound of your brain starting right now. Whatever
Hmm.
age you are, if you over 40 years old, that need to be part of your annual physical. And you need to get that stuff checked out more frequently than once a year. Because why would you if something's going on with your brain, because they say that dementia starts 20 years before you actually see any signs and symptoms.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
need to start getting your examination right now. If you over 40 years old, when you go to the doctor, you need to get that stuff checked out to
I know
prevent
that's
you from being in that situation when you get to be 60, 70 years old.
so. What we're going to do, Dr. Washington, we're going to get your closing statement. We're going to have to come back because I want to get definitely a conversation between you and one of my friends from the Alzheimer's Association. As I mentioned, they also have a pamphlet called The 10 Healthy Habits for Your Brain and how
Yes.
to take charge of your brain health. And that is on the Senior Talk website. If you need it to be sent to your community, we got them. We can send it right to you via email. So please definitely reach out to us. But you have been awesome. We're not going to stop here. We got more to cover.
Well, let me share one more thing before I go.
Yes, sir.
The Alzheimer's Association was very, very instrumental in helping me when this thing first started.
Mm-hmm.
I've called them over 40 times. They have a 24/7 hotline that you can call, and there's the clinical people that can help you deal with what you're looking at and give you some ideas and give you some links that you can go to in order to help yourself, because I use that tremendously, and I thank them, the Alzheimer's Association, for their clinical staff. That I used to call them at 3 o'clock in the morning when my mom would wake up and have to go to the bathroom, and I have to take her to the bathroom. So I would call them, I would be crying, and I would just say, what can I do? Help me. And they were very instrumental in helping me through that time.
Absolutely. So let me say this too. Um, I found a number 800-272-3900.
Mm-hmm.
That is
I
one
know
of the
that number.
numbers that I have. That's the number. And so I want to also make sure that we just be a branch. as I mentioned, we're going to bring Dr. Washington back because I would like for you to just one day maybe even have a conversation with our experts from the Alzheimer's Association and just, pull out some of the things that other people may be thinking. So if you were tuning into this broadcast or watching it wherever you are, definitely thank you for making us a part of your day. I am Clara Hubbard, your host, and also known as your granddaughter in the community. And our special guest today is none other than Dr. Michael Washington. He is a pharmacist, he's a caregiver, he's a husband, he's a father, but he's, as I mentioned, he is boots on the ground and he is here for our community. So please, thank you so much. I'm glad you're doing okay, Doc. I was challenged for a few minutes when you told me that you had a heart attack, but like I said, God is good and we got work to do and we're just starting here.
Yeah, we're just getting started. I'm feeling stronger. I've been going to therapy and everything, and I'm getting stronger, and I'm looking forward to what God has for me to do. And I believe that I've been called to be, in this area of dementia and be a caregiver, and I want to continue to do that, and as long as I'm here, because that's something that we need so badly in our community. Yes. Because a lot of people just don't know what to do, and they don't know how to get the resources to care, and it's very, very stressful, and I don't want anybody else to get sick and have a heart attack, because they say that a small percentage of caregivers pass away before the loved ones do.
Yes, I have a girlfriend who unfortunately passed away before her mom and dad, and we were at a gathering just on a Saturday one afternoon, and she was saying, I just want to have a moment to stretch.
Well, you know what I call it?
Yes, sir.
I call it my dementia day off. I try to take some time to do whatever it is I enjoy doing, because you will become consumed. Yeah. Dementia will consume you. Let me tell everyone out there, I don't care how strong. I thought because I'm a pharmacist and I'm a healthcare, I got this. No, dementia is a very, very, very emotional and spiritual and time. It just takes up, it consumes you. Yes. I was not taking care of myself. Mm-hmm. And I thought I was, but you're so focused on your loved one, and my mom, me being the only child, that's my girl. That's so I got to be down with her.
That's right. That's right.
But you got to be down with yourself.
You right too.
You know good if you can't take care of nobody else if you don't take care of yourself. So I just like to say,
no, we're not closed yet. We got something else to say. But what did they say on the plane? What they say on the plane? Put your mask on first.
Yes, ma'am.
And we out here tripping.
I thought I had my mask on. I really did. And I thought, but I could tell, stress, and it just gradually eats away at you. And it's very difficult as you watch your loved ones decline.
Stay tuned. Hold that pause. I'm going to play this special message that I got online. And this is a small short from Pastor Jamal Bryant. Okay. Listen to this message and then give me your thoughts when we return.
Okay, we'll do.
Can you feel me? That I'm doing everything that I can to take care of an aging parent, and you would think I'm an only child and I got siblings everywhere. Can you feel me? You don't know what it's like to be the only one in a relationship trying to keep it together, and everybody in the house takes your sacrifice for granted. Can you feel me? With everything that I'm dealing with, I should have left God a long time ago, but I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on Jesus. Can you feel me? You don't know what it's like. Help me, media team, with this monitor. You don't know what it's like to have to train yourself not to cry. You don't know what it's like to tell yourself that I am not going to break down in front of my children. You don't know what it's like to have to keep biting your tongue because folk keep talking to you sideways and they think that you are weak, but they got no idea. I got gotta hold myself back from flipping over these desks. Can you feel me?
Wow. I heard
Okay.
that and I just had to get myself together. And I know this because there are so many of us who literally are in that situation. Thankfully, you have a support factor, but there are a lot of caregivers. And I was with a young lady some years ago, and she called it compassion fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
You call it dementia day off. She said compassion fatigue. You
Yeah.
care for your loved one. Yes, you are. But can you just get a few moments of respite for yourself?
Yes. Yes.
You
Well,
know?
I'm gonna tell you one thing about crying, and I looked this up. That crying is okay. It's okay to cry because as men, we talk. Oh, you ain't strong. You ain't a man if you cry. Crying is good because when you cry, you release chemicals in your body that reduce your stress.
Mm, okay.
Yeah, you
Mm,
reduce your stress. So I would encourage anybody, but especially men who are dealing with this, because there was day after day after day before I moved in with my mom, when I would go over there and I would leave and I get in my car and I couldn't drive because I was crying so hard. So it's okay to cry.
yeah.
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 I got a little acronym that I came up with. It's called COPE. COPE.
Mm-hmm.
C is for crying. It's therapeutic.
Mm-hmm.
The O is when you're dealing with this dementia thing, you got to get organized. You know,
Woo!
you thought you was organized before, and I'm gonna tell you one other thing before I go to the P and the E. Get you a calendar,
Mm-hmm.
because you got all these appointments, you got all this stuff that you got to think of. Because when that person becomes dementia, when they have dementia and their short-term memory is gone, you become that person's short-term memory. You're the connection between them and the world. And that's the part that you don't realize at first. You become their mind that
Mm,
operates in the world. They're
mm,
operating in their space, but they're not operating in the world. You become that person's mind, that person that thinks for them. So
mm.
that was the cry. See, oh, get organized. Get a calendar. You have to write it down. If I could pull it up and show you September of last year, every date on that thing got something on there.
Mm-hmm.
You can't remember all that stuff. P on cope. Pray, plan, and prepare. You have to get yourself in organized that you've never been before in your life.
Mm-hmm. Tell the truth.
And then E, execute. You got to execute, baby.
Wow.
You got to get your stuff together. You got to get more organized. I thought I was organized, but I wasn't till I got into this.
Mm-hmm.
You got to write everything down. You can't remember because your mind becomes fuzzy.
Yes, sir.
You get caught in the web of dementia. You become caught in the web of dementia.
Hmm.
That's when you begin to go down, when you in that web. And you see something fly in the web, and then it before the spider come and it tries to move,
Yes, sir.
it just makes it worse.
Wow.
So that's where I am, and that's where I was, caught in the web of dementia. And I'm patenting that term. For
Yes.
anybody out there listening, don't use that. That's
Right.
Mike Washington. I came up with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Caught in the web of dementia.
Yes,
And
sir.
we got to bring light to the darkness of this disease.
Mm-hmm.
In our family, a lot of stuff is taboo. We don't talk about things, especially somebody that's, we used to call them crazy. No,
Mm-hmm.
they weren't crazy. They had dementia before we knew what it was.
Yes, yes.
So that's not an appropriate term. You have a lack of cognitive skills. And when you see that, as soon as you see that, don't wait. Don't think that, oh, no, they just getting, oh, no. Go get them checked out, please.
Yes. Yes.
And get yourself checked out as well.
Exactly.
As you're maturing in this life.
Mm. Well, I tell you, Dr. Mike, you've been awesome. Everyone, You've been watching and listening to Senior Talk with Clara Hubbard, our first episode of Men Are Caregivers Too. We will definitely first, we want to say thank you for making us a part of your day. And to our host, Dr. Mike, thank you for making it transparent and clean and clear. And
Yeah.
we're going to keep that cope. We're going to have to write that down so people can understand what's really going on and get the information they need. But what we will also address too is this. Your loved one, they didn't choose it.
Oh, no.
And so we have to learn to walk through this. But as he mentioned, get the resources, talk to experts, call Senior Talk Media, go to our website, inbox me, just say, hey, Claire, I need some resources. I want to look further into this about my loved one. I mean, we cover any and all topics. We do memory care, we do heart health, you name it. But just don't go through this process. Our show is here to serve you. We are information and resource based from the beginning.
And let me add one thing too.
Yes, sir.
Please put my number on your resources page. Because see, I'm not the person that, you hear me talking, but you can't get in touch with me. You can call me directly, and that's what I'm here for.
Well, that's what we're gonna do.
I'm accessible.
All right, what's your number?
Area code 302-377-4422. Again, that's area code 302-377-4422.
All right, not a problem. I got that for you. Mm-hmm. And as we mentioned, let me go ahead and let you close us out, if you will. You got 2 minutes, if you don't mind.
Well, I got a good close. You got to understand that your loved one is not giving you a hard time. They're having a hard time. And your grace and understanding and empathy and compassion for them will be tested beyond what you can imagine. And no matter what they say, you got to learn to agree with them, because you can't rationalize with somebody whose short-term memory is not available for them to rationalize back with you.
Wow. Well, I'm all in, and I just appreciate you. And really, Dr. Mike, thank you for your transparency. It's going to help somebody, I know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because we're in this phase now. I'm in a position now where I go to different events, and, my husband and I, we travel, and people say, you know what, Claire? My mom or dad or my loved one may have dementia. We're not sure. So we just go to the resources that we have, and we're a branch. So it's good to be in place, as we said, Dr. Mike, to be able to be of service to our community.
Yeah, anything else would be uncivilized, as my friends known to tell me.
Right.
I mean, that's seriously, but that's what we're here for. And I'm glad, even though it's been a year since we met, we said we were going to get together and we're going to do something. And God has provided that through all the things. And I'll say one other thing. I was at church on Sunday, and the pastor was talking about how you can be burning. It was out of Exodus. How when God was talking to Moses, and he was telling him, Moses saw the bush burning. Even though the bush was on fire, it wasn't consumed. So that's where I am.
Yeah.
My bush is on fire.
Yeah.
But thank God it's not consumed. I'm not being consumed by it. It's on fire.
Mm-hmm.
I can't pretend like it's not on fire, and that's real, but it's not consumed because God got me. He knows my name, as the Pastor Hunt said. Pastor Hunt at Liberty back, he said, God know your name. Yeah. Don't worry about it. You gotta be thankful for all situations. Not when everything is going good. We all can say, hey, I'm doing this. But when you got to be thankful for all your situations, because God got us and God knows your name too.
Amen. Well, let me tell you, this has been a phenomenal broadcast. I can't wait to share it with many people. Of course, we did put up the phone number for Dr. Mike, but you can also find on Senior Talk Media in this broadcast. But everyone, thank you for making us a part of your day. We hope that something that we've offered to you has been helpful, impactful, or just put you on notice to definitely take charge of your own self first. Put on your mask first.
Please put your mask on.
Take care of everybody else. So everyone, Thank you again. As I always say in closing, in complete darkness, we are all the same. It is only our knowledge and wisdom that separate us. Don't let your eyes deceive you. I'm Clara Hubbard, your granddaughter in the community, and we look forward to seeing you next time here on Senior Talk with Clara Hubbard. Everyone, take care.
Have a fantastic day. Be safe.